Because success is relative. You know, some people have, you know, might only earn 25 grand a year, but they've got such a happy life.
Yeah.
People hate seeing that. They hate seeing happiness. They hate seeing, it's why they attack footballers for dancing and having a good time.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, I hate you because you literally live in the life I would love to have. So rather than using you as an inspiration, rather than saying, oh, well done you,
They try and bring you down.
they try and bring you down. Exactly. And, you know, I don't do jealousy when it comes to, you know, everyone, if we just narrow it down to YouTube, people always say, like, you know, oh, there's been a beef between you and the United Stand or between you and this person. And I don't, now as it stands, I have no beef with anyone.
Yeah.
Like, I've had cross words with people or debates or opinions that have caused a clash, but I don't hold any beef. I don't go to bed thinking about these people. I don't feel about like hitting any of them. I don't feel like I getting into a fight. There is no beef my end.
Yeah.
Equally, I don't hold any jealousy. There are some YouTubers I'm a little more successful than. There's some that I'm way more successful than. And then there are others that just obliterate me in terms of success. If you look at, you know, people always ask me about the United Stand. And as I always say, like, I've got differences when it comes to Mark in relation to footballing opinion and personal approaches to things, but I never attack and slag off the channel. I'm not jealous of what he has achieved because...
Usually you're quite complimentary about it.
Well, the thing is, there's no point being jealous about it. What is that going to do for me? How is using my energy to be jealous about somebody else going to elevate me in my life? I've got my goals. I want to be retired at 55 years of age. I want to achieve certain things. I want to have enough security that my children and my grandchildren are taken care of. That's what I strive for. So yes, I look for money, but I'm not looking for money for the sake of having money. The requirement of money is to do for my children, you know, what my father did for me and what my grandfather before him did.
Yeah.
To different levels though. Like if I go back 2 or 3 generations ago, my family, like, below the breadline, like from the East End when there wasn't a Westfields and all these beautiful buildings we're driving past, it was poverty stricken, and it's still like Newham and places in East London are still some of the most poverty stricken boroughs in the country. But it was even worse 100 years ago, and my granddad was a kid. But then he got his family, my dad was an only child, he moved them to that next level. They had a little something. Taught my dad work ethic. You know, they weren't living in a slum, they were living somewhere okay. My dad, you know, as far as I'm aware, like one of the first people in my family name's history to buy a house.
For real?
Yeah, like, and stuff like that. We weren't encouraged to really go into further education and university. That still wasn't a conversation that was happening that often in working class families when I was young.
Yeah.
It did with my friends. My friends from especially African and like Southeast Asian backgrounds. Education was pushed at them. White working class didn't really happen. It wasn't the same when I was young.
Yeah.
But they were still teaching us work ethic, and it was always this. My dad pushed this thing of, you know, you've got to go on to succeed, you've got to move on to that next level. And my hope is by the time I retire and I move on, that my kids have more privilege and they have more of an advantage than I was given by my dad. So my dad had more than his dad, I should have more than mine, my children should have more than me. And my job is to then, aside of having the security for my kids, what I then need to do is teach them how to grow it further, but then teach them to have even more work ethic so they can do that, and teach them the value of the money and the security, but how then to pass it on to their kids. So my hope is that 4 or 5 generations time, when I'm long dead and buried, and so even are my children, that my family name and the legacy we've left behind grows and grows, so that nobody has to worry about money. Nobody's worrying about security, because look, money doesn't cure everything, doesn't solve everything.
No, of course not.
But it certainly takes a sting out of being poor.
It definitely does.
And
it helps a lot.
Whether you lose your job, whether you get ill health, whether you're suffering with depression, I do think all those things are easier if you don't have money worries on top of it.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't have to worry about the mortgage, if you don't have to worry about paying the bills, etc. Like, imagine going through cancer, but you've also got the bailiffs knocking at your door.
Bro.
That's got to be a lot harder than just having cancer, but then having a nice house to go home to.
Of course.
So, but it's my responsibility to mitigate that risk for my children, and then it'll be theirs, and so on and so forth. And I think that the problem you have in life is that a lot of people don't think like that. And I feel sorry for a lot of them because they're not taught that. You know, I did a lot of work when I worked back at Barclays, and we do a lot of work they did this apprenticeship scheme. And there was a basic rule to it where the bank didn't employ, via the apprenticeship scheme, it was people that were second, third, potentially 4th generation of unemployment. So like
They
their
didn't
parents,
employ them.
yeah. So that for instance, say you had like an 18-year-old,
Yeah.
their dad and mum and their nan and granddad had barely been or had never been employed. So it was trying to tackle real root causes as to why these people went through generations of unemployment, but then trying to buck that trend. But equally, someone at some point had to give these kids an opportunity, because if you go, well, you're from this horrible council estate in Hackney, your mum never taught you about what real work ethic is, you don't know the value of money, your family's no good in terms of that, so we're not going to bother give you a chance. All you do is you just repeat the cycle.
Yeah, of course.
And it was hard though. I tell you that, it was so hard. The amount of them that you would speak to, some of them really wanted it, but they didn't know how to behave. They didn't know how to behave in a workplace. They didn't finish school. They didn't have GCSEs. You know, most of them haven't been in school since they were 12. Most of them kicked out for bad behaviour. But when you got down to it and you built their trust and you learned about them, some of them are so intelligent and smart. But they would just tell you straight, like, my mum and my dad and my grandparents told me to not worry about school, that they'll be fine. You know, I had this one girl, and she used to tell me how, like, even when she got the job at the bank, most of her friends and even her family, her own grandmother was saying, oh, why work so hard when you can have a little bit less just by having a baby and living off the state?
Bro, I was having this conversation with a girl yesterday.
Yeah.
Yesterday, and she said, people that, she didn't say it in so many words because I think she was wary of being offensive, but she was like, why would you, I've had a baby, I've got a council house, and in a couple years I'll be able to buy this, whereas you're going to work, you're working a boring office job, like, and you don't have anything. And I thought, is this really the way people think, or is she just trying to be inflammatory?
Look, I think some people do, and it's like anything in life. I don't think you should. I don't generalise and put everybody into one box, but I know that there are people out there. I grew up on a council estate. There are people that have that mindset, and it goes generations through families. And I've worked with, maybe over a 4-year period, I worked closely with about 20, 25 of these kids personally that worked for me, that I did their weekly one-to-ones, and I did all sorts with them. And I would say 80%, once they trusted you enough, would tell you straight, I don't want to live that life. I want to work. I want to do things. I want to earn my own money. But they would say it straight. It's so hard because everybody around me is telling me that I shouldn't and I don't need to. And people like that, though, also get very angry. If we go back to the original point, they also get very angry when they see others succeed.
Yeah.
Because they don't have, it may be that they were never taught to have the work ethic, or they don't have it within them. And then some people, they try it, but they fail. And instead of embracing their failure and saying, okay, you know, at least I gave it a go though. I didn't quite reach level 10, the top, but I got to level 6, and I'm gonna make do with that because I gave it my all. Yeah. Some people become very bitter, you know, and whether it's YouTube, yeah, I've never seen a Royal Mail guy on like a rickshaw thing.
So hard, and he's not getting anywhere.
I know. At least it's green, I suppose. That's the point. That's probably why they're doing it. Saves on fuel. But yeah, like I just, you know, there are so many people out there, so much hate out there, which is why, you know, this year, it's funny really, because I've had a lot of comments on YouTube this year saying to me, you know, why are you being so, one guy's actually said, he goes, your positivity is becoming nauseating. And I'm like, can you imagine?
About United, he means?
He went just in general. And I'm like, it shows that also, so a lot of people as well, I do use it for this reason as well, I'm not going to lie. If I'm angry at Man United's performance, or I'm angry at something I've seen within the world of football,
yeah,
we're going to do a video on it, and I say what I've got to say, and I get it out there,
yeah,
I feel relaxed afterwards. Yeah. It gets it out of my system.
It's a nice outlet.
Yeah, so I think when someone goes on to watch a video about their team losing, and they see me smiling saying, yeah, this was bad, that was bad, but it's all going to be okay, it annoys them because it doesn't allow them, because they don't have the voice, they just can listen, and they want to agree with 4 or 5 people. Yeah, that's what I think. Because you've taken that away from them, they really resent you for it. Yeah. They dislike you for it. It makes them angry. They have a pop at you, and it takes away from them. It really does. But